Good evening, everybody. Here for video number 2, I want to talk about resumes. Now, I don't know how many of you have gone through classes before that teach resume writing, but in my experience, a lot of times people have taught resumes in such a way that they teach you that it has to be done in a certain way or a certain order. Resumes, to me, are a very flexible as well as a very fluid document. And what I mean by that is, how many of you guys believe that a resume has to be done in a certain order? Like, for instance, what comes first on a resume? I know we talk about your header, which, if you look at this screen, some of the small things you can see ahead at the top are somebody's name, address, phone number, contact information, which obviously goes first. But after that, what goes first on a resume? Some people will say your education goes first. Some people will say your skills go first. Some people will say your previous jobs, etc. So who is right? What goes first on a resume? Is it your skills? Is it your education? Is it your job history? Well, the answer is none of the above. And now, hopefully you're not too confused, but what I am going to say is it doesn't necessarily matter. Some places will teach you that it has to be done a specific way, or they look for it to be done a specific way. But the truth is that whatever way you need to write your resume to get the attention of an employer is how you actually write that resume. Therefore, I'm going to pull up a sample resume. This is my actual resume that I used when I first started working as a teacher for Fresno City College, and that I used when I started job searching last year. As you can see, in my case, I put my education first, then my skills, and then my experience. Okay, I've had a few jobs. I went back really far because based on some of the jobs I've looked at recently, I needed to have certain jobs that actually met some of the skills that we needed. And I also wanted to show that I had worked certain jobs over a period of time that met those needs of my current employers. So as you can see, at the beginning of a resume, you have your contact information. Now, this isn't my real contact information, so if you try to reach me here, you will not find me. But this is a sample of a resume. Now, most people, I see people trying to be fancy, trying to overdo it. As you can see, a simple black and white basic resume is all you need in order to get a decent job. Employers aren't looking for something that catches their attention aesthetically. They're looking for something that catches their attention as far as, can you do this job? So therefore, pretty isn't always necessarily the best way. Correct and accurate is the best way. Second of all, you'll see here there's a summary. Experienced, loyal professional looking to obtain a position in educational social service setting. I am well trained in crisis intervention, people skills. Okay, your summary is just a basic little sentence about who you are, what you can do for a company, etc. Now, this necessarily isn't needed on a resume. This is just a little blurb that you can have or you don't have to necessarily have. It just kind of tells a company what you're looking for and who you are. Okay, your education comes next, or your skills come next, or your work experience come next. And what I will say in regards to why it's not necessarily important on what order you do, because what if you're going for a job that their biggest requirement is education? Like, for instance, when I started teaching at City College, I had to have a certain college degree. So I put that first. Second of all, the skills section, maybe now that you're learning stuff in your classes, I know we were kind of on a construction theme on the job searching video earlier. So what happens if some of the skills that you're learning in your classes right now actually more accurately reflect what you need in order to get a job? Maybe you could put your skills section on top. If you've already been in construction for many years, you might want to put that at the top instead. So as you can see, whatever you're going to catch your attention. I know when I applied for a job last April and I got called for an interview, the guy told me, he goes, wow, you must be really good at writing resumes or something. And I said, well, why is that? And he said, well, because in the first 30 seconds of reading your resume, I realized I needed to call you for an interview. And I told him, well, thank God, because I teach a class on how to write resumes. So it was a good experience for me to put my money where my mouth is as far as the class I teach in person and now this semester online. But the fact is that most professionals, most companies will only spend 30 seconds to 1 minute reading your resume initially to find out if you actually qualify for a job. Therefore, you have to catch their attention right away. And that is also one reason why simple and easily organized are some of the best ways to do it, because then they can quickly scan through it and look for any key words. And that's why I said, hey, when it comes to your job and finding a job and the job description that you're reading, you may want to actually use words from the job description in your resume. So as they're reading it, you're getting in their head a little bit and they're reading the words that they're actually looking for, and they're more likely to call you for that job interview. So you can kind of play into it and give them what you want. That's why I say resumes are a fluid document. They're always changing. Every time you submit a resume to a company, it should be different from the last time you did it. It should never be the same. Each job you look at, you should go back and revamp your resume to meet what that job is looking for. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not actually updating your resume. So how do you write resumes? I know when I got my master's degree, I had no idea how to do a resume for a marriage and family therapist. And so in order for me to teach you how to write a resume for your profession, I would have to actually know each of your professions and then sit down and teach a class to each one of you on how to write a resume. So I always teach my students how to not necessarily cheat, but to investigate and do some research. Now, everybody on the internet loves to brag about what they do, right? I mean, how many people have Facebook, Instagram, etc.? They like to brag about what they ate, what accomplishments they have, like today, their favorite football team or who they're going for. Sometimes, what they made for dinner or the color of poop they had practically. So, I mean, the internet is not short of people bragging. So what I've taught my in-person students to do is to actually get on the internet and type in resume and then the profession they're going into. And you can actually get examples of all kinds of professions as well as not only the professions, but as different styles and different ways of wording things. So if you click on one of the samples, sometimes you'll get an actual decent resume. Sometimes you'll get a website that wants you to spend money and may have viruses. You have to be really careful what you're clicking on. But in this case, this is a sample right off of Monster.com in which they changed the person's information, obviously. But a lot of times what Monster employees will do is they will pull a really good example of a resume, and then they will copy it, change some of the information so they can brag about it to all of you that they have this really good resume on their website. And this is an opportunity for you to see how somebody organized their resume, as well as some of the statements and words that they used. So I really suggest you guys get on and do a little research if you've never done it, and look and see what other people have done or are doing. That is a good basis. Now, I do tell you, my students, never copy a resume. That is plagiarism. But you can use people's ideas to help you for organization and descriptions of how to word what you need to word for your resume. So please do not plagiarize. Do not use a template, because one big bad thing about templates is that you never know if it's going to transfer over to the company's email or their server or whatever system they're using. So you could use a template, have it all nice and pretty, and then send it to them. And when they open it up, one line can be over on the left, another on the right, another one 10 lines down. It could just look really skewed. I've had people send me resumes in the professional field where it looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics because it just didn't translate well. So don't use a template. Try to always use a common program like Microsoft Word or something, and that's what I suggest you do for this assignment, is use Microsoft Word and submit a Word file so I can open it easily. But once again, please don't use templates. If you have any questions on writing a resume, let me know. This week, I need you to put together a basic rough draft of your resume by Thursday. It's not that hard to do. If you have any questions, you can email me or get a hold of me somehow, and I will help you. But I'm not expecting perfection by Thursday. I'm not going to grade you down if your resume is off or it's not complete. I want to see a skeleton rough draft number one of your resume so I can look at it and help you adjust it and make it better. Now, one thing I will tell you is your resume should be no more than 2 pages, okay? And it should fill up 1 or 2 pages if you go 2 pages. Do not have 1 page and then 1 line on the second page. That looks sloppy. You may have to adjust your margins. You may have to adjust your fonts or something to get it down to 1 page. If you have a lot that you need to cover on your resume, then you can go up to 2 pages, but no more than 2. But in all fairness, you should try to keep your resume to 1 page. Any other questions or comments, please share those with me, and I will try to pass that along to the other students if there's anything I left out. But really do your research, upload your resume to sites like Monster, have them look at it, have them help you, and also just know that I will be helping you as well this week, in the next week or two, for your final portfolio submissions. Thank you.